That's a good one, Jimmy.
Thank you.
As you can tell, I was not prepped on these questions as I buy time thinking of the correct answer.
Mm-hmm. Again, and don't forget the disclaimer too. This is all opinion based.
I don't think it's underrated.
Mm-hmm.
I think you want to try to hit with a firm front side. Okay. I think it helps keep you back, and it keeps you behind the ball from lunging on all pitches, and it helps you rotate around your axis faster. I'm thinking of the guys that don't hit from a firm front side. Rizzo would be kind of the one guy that I think of.
The one guy I thought it was A-Rod too, by the way. That's who I was alluding to.
Okay, so A-Rod finished with a soft front side, but he was a firm front side at contact.
Okay, all right.
So if you watch him in slow motion, he looked like everybody else. He looked like Manny back then. He looked like Jeter, but it had that where it straightened and then it flexed, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's what's hard. Like even when they used to talk about George Brett and a soft front side because of Charlie Lau, right? You know, hit off your front leg, bent front leg, stimp. So it was, you know, but if you look at slow motion pictures of Brett, he rotated really well. He had a big weight shift, and then he rotated around his firm front side. So, yeah, in today's game, you know, Rizzo, you know, being a big guy, yeah, I don't think it.
Oh, I got
You're
one.
still going to be on plane if you don't.
Yeah.
Have a firm front side, you can still be on plane. Can you generate as much bat speed? I don't know, probably not. Maybe for a big guy, you know, that's over 215 pounds or so, right. It won't be a problem. But it's not underrated. Like I think, you know, core values as it comes to hitting, you know, you want to firm up that front side. Now, one of the issues is players start to land. Younger players, we're talking about, big leaguers aren't going to have this problem, but you'll see younger players try to land when they come out of their stride, and that front leg straightens too soon. That's a very artificial move. Usually goes with squishing the bug. Those two things go together. But the front leg really shouldn't straighten out that front knee until right after contact, right through contact. So the frame before, the frame at, and the frame after goes from slightly bent to totally straight. If it straightens before contact, we either are leaving our hands behind and casting and bat dragging and all kinds of stuff, or we're forcing our lower body to get into the right position without letting the natural, you know, biomechanical movements take over. So you have to be careful with that. Sometimes people say, hey, you got to hit with a firm front side, and they stress it so much that it becomes too choppy and mechanical, and their hands don't catch up, and it becomes a mechanical issue. If that was the case, then I would say it is overrated. Okay, if they're really stressing it too much. But yeah, I think if you look at, you know, 98% of major leaguers, their front leg is going to be straight the frame after contact, at least on pitches that they're going to hit. Now, we do have the ability to get fooled, right? And break down that front leg and be able to get to a pitch down and away, to be able to get to a changeup where we're fooled. Doesn't do you any good to look really good and lock out your front side and rotate really well and then miss a ball by 2.5 feet because you didn't adjust to it with 2 strikes. So there's a place, you know, that could be chaos training. So yeah, I'm a stickler if we're working front toss or 2 work, that front leg's got to straighten out right after contact. If we're working game situations and I'm painting balls on the outside part of the plate that are sinking or they're change ups or whatever it is, and that player looks bad and their back leg is straight and their front leg is bent and they got one arm, you know, follow through and they're flipping, but they find a barrel and maybe 1 out of 10 of those crappy swings, they get a base hit. I'm fired up for it. I just don't want to do so much of that training that it breaks down mechanics.
I do have a guy who, correct me if I'm wrong here, his dad may or may not listen to this show. I do have a guy, though, who isn't firm at point of contact with that front side. New Colorado Rocky, Chris Bryant.
Really?
Maybe I've got the wrong picture in my head, and I apologize to you and his dad if his dad is listening.
So again, he's got the bent front leg right after contact. I mean, we'll look at it in slow motion, but
you know what? Do you mind if fast. You talk? I'm going to look at Google image on my phone.
I know what you're saying because he gets into his almost like he's running really fast in his follow through, but I'm pretty sure that his leg starts to pull back and straightens through contact.
I'm going to trust you, but I just want to search it.
You should trust me because
I do.
You know, I try not to fool anyone. That doesn't do anybody any good.
Hold on.
Right?
Does
not. We got to back it up.
You know, Hold on.
I mean, I can type
Oh,
something in here.
you know what? You're right. I was wrong. Looking at an image here. Yep. And even on a pitch that he's fooled, I'm looking at another image. Pitch on the outer half looks to be a little bit fooled. He's still hitting against a firm front side. So I was
Yeah,
wrong.
he just breaks down right after when he starts to run. I know what you're seeing though, because like I've seen his swing so often.
Well, Castellanos does the same thing though. He does the same thing. Nick Castellanos hits with a firm front side, but then he goes in, his leg flexes because he's about to run. And Brian does that too.
And that's where, video became so powerful years ago. I mean, we've been using it since the early 2000s, 2002, 2003. But because people didn't see that, they would just see what happens after contact and the follow through. That's why squishing the bug was so prominent. Everybody, their back foot started like this and then it turned. So everyone's like, oh, squish the bug. But when they started seeing video and breaking it down, you notice that the knee actually came in first and the back foot all the weight would come off the back foot in order to create, the weight shift and ground force. So video is very, very powerful. That's for sure.
Hey, you said something there a couple of minutes ago about hitting against a firm front side, how it's overrated when you're doing it too quickly, when you're just going into a firm front leg. How do you fix that? How do you fix one of your students when they're doing that?
We have a drill where we put something, it's usually the back foot moving first is what starts it. It's the bug squish or squash or whatever you want to call it. It's that back side trying to turn fast to start everything instead of the front foot and the back knee. So we do a little drill where we, move our back foot forward a couple inches, and that will usually smooth out the process and get the body working the same way. And I tell players, do you squish the bug when you play catch? We're trying to build energy, right? We're trying to build energy in our hand, whether we're throwing a ball or whether we're swinging a golf club or a baseball bat. That energy starts at the ground, works through the body, and then out our hand and hitting out of our bat head. So we have to do, so that's why I always tell them, when you play catch, do you typically squish the bug and twist, or do you step forward and does your back foot kind of come off the ground a little bit? Oh, well, I guess that makes sense. So I have them kind of make some throws and feel it. Now, it's not as drastic. We're going to continue to go forward when we throw typically, but I'll get them to play catch and feel their footwork. And then from there, we'll start to swing a bat nice and easy. And again, it's 40%, it's 50%, it's 60%. It's how we teach and add 10% at a time rather than just saying, okay, you don't want to do that with your back foot. It needs to look like this. Go do it, Johnny. Like, that's not good coaching. That's good information, but that's not good communication in coaching. So yeah, we have a couple different drills that we do, stressing the knees more than the feet and, making sure the back foot moves forward and not backward.